Imagine this. Every single morning you wake up in the middle of a storm. You can't see it. There's no rain on your window, no thunder shaking the walls, but you feel it. It's inside you. A downpour of thoughts, gusts of anxiety, lightning bolts of doubt striking one after another. And without even realizing it, you get out of bed as if nothing happened. No direction, no intention, no conscious decision made. You just start moving. On autopilot, like a machine that someone else programmed. That's how the day begins for millions of people. Maybe that's how your day began today. Chaos takes the wheel. Emotions hijack your mind. Routine swallows you whole. And the worst part, you accept it. You accept it as if there's no other way to live. As if this is just what life is, a constant reaction to everything around you, with no real say in the matter. But there is another way. There is a way to stand in the middle of that storm and not get lost. To turn every difficulty into training. To stop reacting to everything around you and start responding from who you actually are. Not from fear, not from habit, not from the noise. This way has a name. It's called Stoicism. And no, this is not some dusty philosophy for academics in togas debating in marble halls. This is a daily practice. It's raw, it's real, it's uncomfortable. It's the art of reclaiming control over your life when everything else is trying to rip it away from you. And it all starts in the first few minutes of your day. Now, let me be clear about something. This video is not here to make you feel good. It's not here to give you a warm, fuzzy feeling and send you on your way. It's here to wake you up, to show you that you can live with more strength, more freedom, and more depth. Not with empty motivational quotes, but with concrete actions. 9 Stoic principles that don't just stay in your head. They move into your body, into your decisions, into your moments. If you're tired of feeling like you have no control, if you're ready to face the storm instead of running from it, stay until the end, because the world isn't going to get easier, but you can get stronger. Let's begin. Principle 1. Let go of the rope you can't pull. There are things in this life that no matter how hard you try, will never bend to your will. People who are never going to change. Situations you cannot fix. Moments you cannot get back. And yet, there you are, standing in the middle of it all, teeth clenched, muscles burning, pulling on a rope that's tied to a mountain. As if your willpower alone could move the earth, but nothing moves, and the harder you pull, the deeper you sink. We all have our rope. Maybe yours is a relationship that died a long time ago, but you're still holding on, out of fear, out of nostalgia, out of some desperate hope that it'll go back to the way it was. Maybe it's a mistake you made years ago that you still can't forgive yourself for. A decision you wish you could undo. Or maybe it's that obsessive need for everything to go according to plan, as if life owes you a smooth ride. And the more energy you pour into that immovable rope, the more you drain yourself. You lose focus, you lose motivation, you lose your life. Not in some dramatic, cinematic way, but slowly, quietly. One wasted day at a time. And the most absurd part? All that effort changes absolutely nothing. The first Stoic principle you need to apply the moment you open your eyes is this. Stop exhausting yourself over what you cannot control. This isn't giving up. This is wisdom. This is maturity. This is choosing to invest the limited energy you wake up with into what can actually move, into what can actually change. Epictetus said it plainly 2,000 years ago. Some things are within our power, and some things are not. And if you don't make that distinction every single morning, you are condemned to fight a war with reality. A war you will lose every single day. You had an argument with someone yesterday. You cannot change the past. But you can decide how you're going to show up today. You missed an opportunity. You can't rewind the clock. But you can prepare better for the next one. Someone disappointed you? You cannot control what they do, but you can control how you respond. That's what you can pull. Everything else, let it go. And don't confuse this. Letting go is not ignoring. It's not pretending nothing happened. It's not weakness dressed up as peace. Letting go is looking reality dead in the eye and deciding, my energy goes where it can bloom, not where it withers. Most people start their day without asking themselves one crucial question. Where am I directing my attention? What is occupying my mind from the very first minute? And because they never ask, they get lost in invisible battles, fighting things that already happened, things that aren't up to them, things they simply cannot change. Exhaustion doesn't come only from physical labor. It comes from misplaced emotional effort, from worrying about what others think of you, from dragging your mistakes around like they're prison sentences, from trying to control the uncontrollable. And then you wonder, why do I feel so drained at the end of the day when I didn't even do anything meaningful? There's your answer. Let go of the rope. Name it. What is it? What's mentally draining you? What have you been refusing to release because you're afraid to admit you can't change it? Write it down. Say it out loud. Look at it without fear. And then take the bravest step of all. Release it. Not because you're weak, but because you're ready to focus on what can actually grow. This principle is the foundation. If you don't get this one, everything else crumbles. You can try to be disciplined, calm, wise, but if you're clinging to something immovable, it all dissolves. Freedom doesn't begin when everything is fine. It begins when you stop living chained to what you cannot change. And that moment can be today, the moment you open your eyes and choose to let go of the rope. Principle 2. Turn difficulties into your mental dojo. Every time life hits you, you have two options: complain or train. Most people choose the first. They complain, they blame, they play the victim. They want the path to be straight, the road to be smooth, the obstacles to magically disappear. But that kind of thinking doesn't build character. It builds fragility, because real strength is never born from comfort. It's forged in conflict. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't see difficulty as an enemy. They saw it as an ally, a training ground, a mental dojo, a space where you can practice patience, discipline, courage, and resilience. Because only under pressure do you get the chance to show who you really are. Think of every problem as a secret test, a challenge designed not to destroy you, but to reveal you. That traffic jam, that unexpected criticism, that sudden change of plans that throws you off balance. Even that difficult conversation you've been dreading. All of it, if used wisely, becomes raw material for building something stronger inside you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just a pretty line for an Instagram post. This is a way of life. Because every morning might start badly. You might wake up exhausted, anxious, overwhelmed, hit with bad news before your feet even touch the floor. And right there, in that moment, you make a choice: collapse or train. You don't need a monastery in the mountains to strengthen your mind. You're surrounded by situations that can sharpen you if you learn to see them as part of the process. Your boss who never acknowledges your work? Training ground. Your partner who feels distant? Training ground. Your bank account that refuses to stabilize? Training ground. Every tension is another rep for your emotional endurance. Every setback is a mental exercise that increases your clarity and composure. But this doesn't happen automatically. It requires intention. It requires you to stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as a tool. To stop running from effort and start using it. Because the more you avoid discomfort, the smaller you become. And the more you face what's uncomfortable, the more you grow inside. Think about the moments that shaped you the most. They weren't the easy ones, were they? They were the ones that hurt, the ones that demanded more than you thought you could give, the ones that broke you open and then forced you to rebuild. That's where identity is forged, not on peaceful days, but on the days when everything is shaking and you still choose to stand. Stoicism doesn't deny difficulty, it embraces it, not because it's masochistic, but because it understands that without tension, there is no growth. Without weight, there is no strength. Without chaos, there is no chance to create order within yourself. So the next time something doesn't go the way you wanted, change the question. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask yourself, "What can I train with this?" Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's detachment. Maybe it's resilience. Every situation carries a lesson, but only if you're willing to see it with different eyes. Starting your day with this mindset changes everything, because you're no longer expecting life to be kind. You're preparing to meet it however it comes. And in doing that, every challenge becomes part of your training. You don't need an easy life to be strong. You need a mind that's ready to turn every hardship into your dojo. Principle 3. Return to where you have power, the present. The human mind has a remarkable talent for being everywhere except where the body actually is. Sometimes it lives buried in the past, replaying mistakes, reopening wounds, reliving disappointments. Sometimes it launches itself into the future, imagining disasters, inventing problems that don't exist yet, rehearsing conversations that may never happen. And just like that, without noticing, you can spend an entire day without being present for a single minute of it. The result? A life lived at half volume. You do things, but your mind is somewhere else. You're with someone, but emotionally you're 1,000 miles away. You breathe, but you don't notice it. You're alive, but you're not here. Stoicism has a clear and powerful answer to this. Come back to the present. Come back to where you have power. Because neither the past nor the future belongs to you. Only now is yours. Only in this moment can you act, decide, respond. Everything else is a ghost. Marcus Aurelius wrote it bluntly. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And if your thoughts are constantly living in another time, you're handing your life over to phantoms. Every morning the mind wakes up restless. Maybe the first thing you remember is yesterday's worry, a message that never came, an unfinished task, a scene from your past that echoes back like a bitter memory. Before you know it, you've already left the present. You're already carrying a weight that doesn't belong to today. And if you don't catch it in time, that weight will set the pace for your entire day. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do when you wake up is reconnect with the present moment. It sounds simple, but it's not. Because being present isn't just a nice concept. It's a discipline, a choice, a constant effort to return every time your mind escapes. How do you do it? First, breathe. There is no stronger anchor than the body. Feel your breath when you wake up. Listen to the silence. Watch the light coming through your window. These are details that exist, but that you ignore when you're running on autopilot. Then, honestly ask yourself, what is actually within my control right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, right now. Because if you can answer that question every morning, you reclaim your power. The power to act without being paralyzed by what you can't predict. Being present doesn't mean ignoring the past or refusing to plan for the future. It means not being enslaved by them. It means that while you remember, you don't drown. While you plan, you don't get lost. That every decision you make today is born from clarity, not from fear of what might happen. So many people live frozen by things that haven't even occurred yet. They anticipate failure, rejection, disappointment. And that fear stops them from doing what they can do right now. Speak, create, move, try. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect setup, total certainty. But it never comes. It never has. Because the only real certainty is the moment you're living right now. And if you don't learn to live in it, you'll waste it. You'll reach the end of the day not knowing what you did with your time. You'll feel like the day just happened to you, that you were carried by a current you never controlled. And that feeling, stacked up over weeks, months, years, turns into a life without direction. The present is your battlefield. This is where the fight between awareness and chaos takes place. And every time you choose to come back, every time you breathe, observe, pause, or simply look at a situation from a different angle, you win. You return to the only point where you can actually change something. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be awake, to stop living asleep in memories or numbed by anxiety about the future, to live your life minute by minute with intention. So tomorrow, when you wake up, before you grab your phone, before you start running through your to-do list, do this. Breathe. Look around. Acknowledge that you're here, and say to yourself, quietly but firmly, "This moment belongs to me, only this one, and this is where everything begins." Principle 4. Don't take the bait. Picture this. Someone throws a hook in front of you. It's shiny. It's moving. It looks like injustice, like disrespect, like a personal attack. It's designed to catch you, and you know it, but you bite anyway. And the second you do, you lose control. You're no longer thinking. You're no longer choosing. You're reacting, and not to what you wanted, but to what someone else put in front of you. The bait is everywhere. In the condescending look from someone trying to get under your skin. In the passive-aggressive comment someone drops to feel superior. In traffic, on social media, in pointless arguments, in provocations designed to knock you off balance. And if you don't learn to see them for what they are, you'll keep falling for them, again and again. This isn't accidental. The world is full of people who can't manage their own emotions and want to drag you into their storm. They want you to react the way they do, to lower yourself, to lose your composure, because misery loves company. But you're not here for that. You're training something bigger, self-mastery. And in today's world, that's nothing short of a superpower. Provocation doesn't always shout. Sometimes it's subtle. It touches you where it hurts the most. It whispers, respond, explode, defend yourself. It tells you, don't let them get away with it. Prove you're right. Show them who you are. But every time you react without thinking, you're not demonstrating strength. You're demonstrating that anyone with a hook can control you. Not through force, but through something worse. Your own anger, your own ego, your own need to have the last word. That's where you lose. Because while you're burning energy, they're feeding off it. You spend your power, they gain your attention. And the damage doesn't stop in the moment. It's what comes after, the regret, the emotional hangover, the wasted time, the words you said and can't take back, the decisions made under pressure instead of clarity. All of it, because you bit on something you could have let pass. But ignoring doesn't mean running. It doesn't mean bowing your head or accepting injustice. It means choosing when and how to respond. It means not giving away your peace for a moment of rage. It means understanding that not every battle deserves your energy. Not everything that irritates you deserves your attention. You choose what affects you, and that choice is trained. You practice it every day, especially in the morning, when your mind is still forming for the day ahead. That's where it's easiest to fall, because one message, one careless word, one thoughtless gesture can define your entire day if you're not paying attention. So when you wake up, breathe, and remember, No one has the right to knock you off balance without your permission. You can feel anger, frustration, tension, and still choose not to react like a wounded animal. You can observe the bait and simply let it pass. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you free. Because real strength isn't screaming louder. It's not needing to. It's looking provocation in the face and saying, "Not today. You're not pulling me down." The world will keep throwing hooks every single day. But once you learn to see them for what they are, they lose their power. Because when you decide how you respond, no one else gets to run your life. Principle 5. Walk as if death were breathing down your neck. Most people live as though they have all the time in the world, as though the clock will never stop, as though tomorrow is guaranteed. They postpone what matters. They bury what's essential under layers of distraction, excuses, and empty routines. They pretend there will always be another chance, another day, another life to get it right. But the truth, as harsh as it is this: death doesn't send a calendar invite, and we're all closer to it than we'd like to admit. Thinking about death is not morbid. It's necessary. It's the alarm that shakes you out of sleepwalking. It pulls you out of autopilot. It forces you to look at your life with urgency. Not from fear, but from awareness. Because when you truly understand that everything could end at any moment, you finally start to live. Imagine taking every step knowing it could be your last. Not dramatically, not with panic, but with awareness, with respect for time, with intensity. Because if you knew you only had one day left, you wouldn't spend it on hatred, hesitation, or waiting around. You would spend it on love, on decisions, on movement, on closing chapters, and starting the ones you've always delayed. The problem is that many people believe thinking about death is depressing. But it's the exact opposite. It's focusing. It's filtering out the noise. It's stopping yourself from giving weight to things that don't matter. When you realize you're not going to be here forever, the masks fall off, the drama shrinks, and what truly matters comes into sharp focus. Because you no longer have time for nonsense, not for people who drain you, not for places where you don't belong, not for a version of yourself that isn't real. Walking with death at your back isn't about living in fear, it's about living with intention. It's about seeing each day as a gift, not as a burden. It's about knowing you're just passing through, and that's exactly why every decision counts. Every word matters. Every moment carries weight. Ask yourself honestly, how many days have you let slip by on autopilot? How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? How many times have you silenced your inner voice for the sake of convenience? Now imagine that time is running out. What would you do differently? The person who walks remembering there might not be a later acts with more clarity, hesitates less, procrastinates less, worries less about other people's opinions. Because they know that time wasted on that is time that never comes back. And that sense of urgency is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. But be careful. This isn't about running without direction. It's not about living in a frantic rush. It's about valuing, about choosing better, about acting today. Because if you're not doing what truly matters today, then when? This principle is practiced every single morning. When you wake up, don't assume you have the whole day ahead of you. Be grateful, breathe, and ask yourself, if today were my last chance, how would I want to live it? That question, answered honestly, doesn't push you forward with pressure. It moves you forward with purpose, with respect for the life you've been given. The day you truly realize you might not wake up again, you'll stop treating so many things carelessly. You'll speak more clearly, love more fiercely, act with more courage, because you will no longer allow yourself to waste the one thing you can never get back, time. You're not here to live forever. You're here to truly live. So walk with death at your back, not to be afraid of it, but to have the courage to honor your life. Principle 6. Pain is just a visit, not a sentence. Think of pain as an uninvited guest. It shows up without warning, knocks on your door without ceremony, sits down in your living room without asking. It disrupts you, it unsettles you, it changes your rhythm. But that doesn't mean it's moving in. It's not a permanent resident. It's just a visit. And like every visit, it ends. But the problem isn't the pain itself. The problem is what you do with it. Because too often, instead of letting it come, understanding it, and letting it leave, you hold on to it. You make it part of your identity. You carry it around like a second skin. You give it a room in your mind. You hand over the keys. And that's when pain, which was always meant to be temporary, becomes a life sentence. What you were supposed to feel for a moment, you drag around for months, years, sometimes your entire life, because you got used to its presence, because you learned to live with the wound, because somewhere along the way you confused feeling pain with being pain. But you are not what hurts you. You are not your sadness. You are not your anger. You are not your anxiety. These are states. They pass. They shift, like seasons, like weather, like storms. Nobody believes winter will last forever. So why do you believe this sadness will? Accepting pain is not surrender. It's stopping the war against the inevitable. It's opening the door, looking pain in the eye and saying, I know you're here. I'm not afraid of you. But you're not staying longer than you need to. Because as long as you deny it or hide from it, it holds more power over you than it ever should. And yes, sometimes it hurts deeply. It hurts to lose. It hurts to fail. It hurts to feel alone. But even inside that pain, something is moving within you. Something is being cleared out, restructured, strengthened. Pain, when properly experienced, teaches you. It transforms you. It refines you. What you can't allow is for it to become an excuse, a barricade, a character you play to avoid moving forward. Because then it's not pain anymore. It's self-sabotage wearing the mask of suffering. And the cruelest part, you're the one doing it to yourself, no one else. When you start a day in pain, don't ignore it, but don't feed it either. Don't turn it into a monster. Give it space, but don't give it the steering wheel. Say, yes, today it hurts, but I'm still getting up. I'm still breathing. I'm still doing what needs to be done. Because movement, even the smallest kind, cuts the legs off pain. If you stay still, pain grows. If you isolate, if you punish yourself, if you keep replaying the same sad story, you give it roots. But if you act, if you move forward, if you engage with life, pain begins to weaken. Because a body in motion leaves no room for despair. Because a focused mind doesn't give power to hopelessness. No, it's not easy. But it's not impossible either. It takes practice. And every single day is a chance to train, to remind yourself that everything you feel is temporary. Even the things that feel permanent. Even the things you don't understand yet. Pain is part of life. We don't dodge it. We face it. We don't deny it. We walk through it. And when you come out on the other side, you realize something important. It didn't destroy you. It showed you what you're made of. So the next time pain comes knocking, don't panic. Breathe. Listen to it. Learn from it. And then, let it go. Don't cling to it. Don't wear it as a badge. Don't use it as a reason to stop. Because you're not here to live under a sentence. You're here to walk through the fire and keep going. Principle 7. Disconnect the need for validation. Imagine that every time you do something, you're holding an invisible cup in your hands. You walk through the world hoping, no, expecting, that people will drop their approval into it. A nod, a like, a compliment, some sign that you're doing it right. And if the cup stays empty, you collapse. You feel worthless. You feel like it wasn't enough, like something is fundamentally wrong with you. That's how most people live, dependent on crumbs of external approval to feel okay, measuring their worth through other people's eyes. And it's one of the fastest roads to an empty life. Because when you live chasing validation, you become its slave. You no longer do things out of conviction. You do them for the reward. You no longer say what you think. You say what you believe the other person wants to hear. You no longer dress, speak, or behave authentically. You perform out of fear, and that fear turns you into a distorted version of yourself. Validation is addictive. The more you get, the more you need. The more you depend on it, the less you can tolerate its absence. You become fragile, you become controllable, and you move further and further from your real power, the power to be who you are without asking for permission. Disconnecting doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means your value doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's opinion. It means what people think of you doesn't change who you are. It means you can keep acting with confidence even when no one claps, because you're not performing for applause. You're being authentic. Look around. Most people are chasing approval. They post for attention. They speak for acceptance. They display themselves out of fear of being forgotten. And in the process, they empty themselves. Because there's no real identity left, just a facade that requires constant maintenance. You're here to live with direction, not with applause. To do what's right, not what's popular. And that starts every morning when you get up and decide, I don't need anyone to tell me I'm okay. I already know it. And that's enough. Disconnect the need for validation, and what remains will be the most honest thing you have. Principle 8. Take inventory of your invisible wealth. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you own could vanish. Your possessions, your money, your status, your titles, all of it, gone. And yet there's something that can't be taken so easily, something you can't see, but that holds you up. That's your invisible wealth, and if you don't recognize it in time, you'll spend your whole life believing you're poor, when the truth is, you're already rich. Most people measure their worth by what can be counted or displayed, how much you earn, what you own, what you've achieved. But that's just the surface. If you lost everything tomorrow, who would you be? That's the real question. Because true wealth isn't what you have on the outside, it's what you carry within. Your ability to think clearly, your resilience in the face of adversity, your calm when everything around you is chaos, your capacity to love, to learn, to listen, your integrity, your courage, your word, your presence. None of that shows up in a bank statement, but it's what lifts you up when everything else falls. Try this exercise. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what would I still have if everything external disappeared? Who am I when there are no witnesses? What inner resources have carried me through my hardest days? That's where your real wealth lives. And if you can't see it, it's not because it's not there. It's because you haven't stopped long enough to recognize it. We all have invisible strengths. Some of us have survived devastating losses and are still standing. Others have learned to get up every day carrying fear, but refusing to quit. Others have supported the people they love while feeling completely broken inside. All of that matters. All of that is valuable, even if nobody sees it, even if you never post about it, even if it never gets rewarded. The more you become aware of your inner inventory, the less you need to prove anything, because you already know who you are. You already know what you're made of. You no longer depend on appearances, because the most valuable things in life aren't displayed. They're lived. The next time you feel like you're not enough, like you don't measure up, like something is missing. Stop. Look inward. Remind yourself of everything you've faced, everything you've overcome, everything you've learned that no one else knows about. You can't buy that. You can't sell it. It's yours. Principle 9. Eliminate the noise that pulls you away from yourself. You are surrounded by noise, not just the kind you hear with your ears, but the kind that seeps into your head and won't let you think. Opinions, news cycles, other people's rules, expectations, comparisons, social media screaming at you about how you should live, feel, dress, and behave. And the more you're exposed to that noise, the further you drift from your own voice. The problem isn't the world. The problem is that you've gotten used to listening to it more than you listen to yourself. You've let outside voices occupy space that belongs to you, your inner space. And without noticing, you start living by a script you didn't write, chasing goals that aren't yours, demanding things of yourself that don't come from your core but from external pressure. That's why you feel exhausted even when you haven't done much. Because noise is draining, it distracts you, it confuses you, it keeps you busy, but empty, full of stimulation, but without direction. You spend hours plugged into everything except yourself, and slowly, quietly, you lose your way. Turning down the noise isn't an act of disconnection, it's an act of reconnection. It's not about running from the world. It's about learning to hear yourself louder than everything else. Because if your mind is full of someone else's noise, there's no room for what you think, what you feel, what you need. This takes courage. It means stopping, turning things off, stepping out of the current, even when it feels like you're falling behind, even when it feels like you're missing out. The only thing you're losing is the distraction that was keeping you away from yourself. Close the tabs, turn off the screens, go for a walk without your earbuds. Write down what you feel. Observe your thoughts without filters, without judgment. Create silence with intention, not just for rest, but to find yourself. Because there, in that space without interference, your true clarity begins. That's where you hear what you've been ignoring. That's where your own answers surface, not the ones others give you, but the ones you actually need. The world will keep making noise. You can't stop it. But you can decide how much of it you let in. You can choose which voices deserve your attention. And above all, you can learn to live from the inside out, instead of the other way around. You are closest to yourself when the noise dies down. When you lower the volume of the world and turn up the volume of your own awareness, that's where you start feeling again. That's where you start thinking clearly again. That's where you start breathing with meaning again. Eliminate the noise, not because it's bad, but because it's not you. And your life can't be built on the echo of what other people say. It has to be built on your own voice, clear, direct, and true. Thank you for staying until the very end. If you watched the whole thing, drop a comment below that says, "I am a Stoic," as our secret sign. So we know you're a true student of this philosophy. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button if this video brought you value. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, keep building your Stoic mind every single day.